So, welcome to the show, Catherine. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So, tell everyone about a little bit about Catherine.
Yeah, I go to Notre Dame High School. I'm a junior, finishing out the year on online school because of quarantine. I have a twin sister, and my dad's an artist, hence how I met you at an art show.
That's right. In fact, your father, his work is on my New Jersey Buzz mugs, my coffee mugs, just so you know. Anyway, so we brought you into the show as you're on the Mercer rowing team, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Princeton National Rowing Association.
I know there's a few titles going on here. How did you even pick that? I mean, that's like a very kind of unique sport, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that almost anyone who joins rowing doesn't just, oh yeah, like I'm going to start rowing. There's always a story. And for me, it was my freshman year. I was hanging out with one of my friends who is now on the varsity girls team. And she was like, oh, what sport are you doing? And I had done field hockey and I had just quit basketball from playing that for a long time. And I was like, just looking for something else. Like, I don't really want to play lacrosse, but I mean, what else am I going to do or run track? She's like, you should do rowing. And I'm like, rowing? And she said, yeah, rowing. And I'm like in a boat? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah, okay, like trying to like move the topic because I was like, I'm not gonna do rowing. And she was like, oh, just try it out with me, just try it out. You could be a coxswain, you could be the person who yells. And I was like, yeah, sure. She showed me all these videos of like Olympians. It looked great. I was like, this is gonna be awesome. And then I went and I just had no idea what I was getting myself into.
All right, well, obviously you thought, hey, why not give it a shot? What made that deciding factor to be part of the team?
We went for one day. Like, she was like, let's just test it out. They were like, you can come and just look at it and everything like that. And I went and we talked to the coach, and Coach Amanda was my first coach at Mercer. She ended up leaving at the end of that season, but she was a really good coach, and I had her, and I kind of just didn't want to leave my friend behind because we were really close and stuff. And we're still pretty close to this day, but it's funny because like I was like, I don't know about this, and then like now we're both super involved, and I just like fell in love with the sport.
That's great. Hey, it must be your calling. Do you row? What do you do?
So I'm a coxswain. So there's rowers and then there's coxswains. Coxswains are usually the smallest person on the team. And they sit in the front of the boat and they steer, they command the boat. They basically are a coach inside the boat, and they command the rowers, and they have microphones and speakers placed throughout the boat so they can say commands and basically help the boat be the fastest it can be.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I guess sometimes.
Well, I was going to say, so how, I mean, I guess your coaches teach you and then you just kind of pick up. It's like a gameplay. You have to know.
You work like more alongside of your coach. Obviously there's still like they call the shots, obviously, but it'll be like they'll call the shots to you, and then you kind of call them to the rowers in a way, where they'll say, okay, this is your boat lineup, and they'll give us the boat lineup and everything like that. But he's not the one getting it out on the dock. I am. I'm the one who has to call everybody and get everything ready and make sure everything's set so that by the time we're on the water, he can just coach, and I just have to focus on just steering straight and talking to the rowers.
Now, is this like an all-girl team or?
No, Mercer has boys and girls. They are divided. There's girls novice, girls varsity, and boys varsity. And then we have a master's division as well, which is co-ed. There's division between boys and girls. I started out on the girls team as a novice with my friend because she's a girl and everything. And we started out the same team. And then you're supposed to spend 2 seasons on novice and then move up to varsity. Well, you try out. And when it was time for me to try out for varsity, I was like, I'm going to switch to the boys team. There was a few different factors leaning that direction, and I kind of I felt like that was the way to go, and I felt that was going to be the best decision for me. So I switched to the boys team. So then moving from the novice girls team, I switched to the varsity boys team, and it was a bit of a difference.
Yeah. So what's that like? Because I know trying to motivate my son, forget about it.
Yeah.
Do they listen to you? Because they don't listen to me.
Sometimes it's challenging. I mean, especially just transferring, because it was different going from girls to guys because it's a different environment. Girls have more of a sisterhood type bond, but with the guys, it's a little bit more, I guess, it's harder for a female to fit in. It is, but they're pretty good. I really like the guys. I've gotten really close with a ton of them, and they know that they'll listen to me because my coach is putting trust in me, so they're putting their trust in me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they know that I'm not going to lead them the wrong direction, and I'm not going to do anything to put them in a bad position, so they're going to do the same for me and trust me and follow what I have to say.
Being that you were in every other sport, and this is something new, your parents, were they like, sure, did you have to convince them to join?
Well, I think that because it's such a unique sport, like the idea of rowing, my mom, she loves water. So she was like, rowing, this is awesome. Like, this would be great. But then, like, I don't think they knew what they were getting into. I didn't. The sport itself is just extremely complex. It's a huge community that I didn't even know existed until I was a part of it. It doesn't only just have, like, its own tools, its own techniques. It has its own language. It's completely unique to itself.
Well, okay, so now you're not able to train. What are you guys doing? Are you still training? I mean, you would have to, I would imagine.
Yeah, we are still training to bring more of a team spirit. We have Zoom calls for core and for weight circuits and things like that, which we have them once a week to try to bring in like a team spirit. But the guys are erging at home, which is hard, but they're doing really well. Yeah, they all have rowing machines, so most of them are rowing at home, and they're still getting workouts, and they're doing well and improving.
For you, since you're not rowing, do you just have to practice in a megaphone?
Oh, yeah, I just sit there with a megaphone. No, I wish. That'd be fun. But it's a lot harder for coxswains. I more or less watch videos of rowers. I try to watch for technique, try to perfect my knowledge of the stroke so that I can help them the best I can when I get back in the boat. And I know how everything works, and I know what should be happening, and just try to help myself the best I can outside the boat.
No, that's awesome. To me, I'm thinking of it's like a football strategy. It's like you have to know probably the weather conditions and how many hours do you guys practice a day?
Outside of quarantine, we practice 6 days a week from 4 to 6:45. And then on Saturdays or Sundays, depending on the day, we'll have a practice. There's always one off day usually, unless it's in the book of training or like something like that where we train every day. But spend a lot of my time at the boathouse for sure.
I know that with every sport, there's expenses involved, and I'm sure this is no different. And plus, you travel. I'm imagining.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of that cost, and I know your father is also an artist, and he's doing a fundraiser. So let's bring on Dad. Well, Tom, hello.
Hello, April. Good to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you in person.
Yes.
But I do follow your buzz and to keep up on the latest and greatest in the area.
Every morning I have coffee with your art. So there you go. You're on a little project of a fundraiser.
Yes, it's not an inexpensive sport, but the way I see it is the kids really bond together. They really grow with the sport. They become more leaders, more of leaders, and it's a true team sport. There's no stars in a crew. It's not like basketball where one kid scores 40 points and the rest, stand around and feed him. They all work together with the coxswain, and you see it. The kids carrying the boats. It's a good sport, I think, for kids to really develop the team effort and see what it takes to not just for crew or for your work or in life, but I think it's a good thing to carry with you. And I think the kids really get a grasp on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a parent, as we season, we can see that sports like that really do help you throughout your life.
Yes, absolutely. And you see the older rowers come back. The Olympic team trains at the boathouse. They're there periodically. So there are role models right there. I mean, there's gold medal winners walking around with you and me. So it's something to say, the facility they have there, and anything I could do to help. And I think people will buy a $5 ticket and hopefully win a nice painting. That would be great.
I know, $5, that's nothing. I mean, it's nothing, but it's going to do some great things. So
yes, and the team itself represents all the area high schools. So it has a far reach for the kids. It's not school oriented. It's a club team. So you have a good mix. The kids meet other kids outside of their normal social circles, and that's a good thing. So I think all around they do a very good job. The coaches and staff are dedicated. The facility is great, and they're looking to enlarge. So anything we can do to help this and get the kids outside and in the air and moving around is good. These kids are in good shape, I must say. So I think they're doing a fine job at that.
No, I think it's an amazing sport to watch. It's very, I want to say graceful. I don't know if that's the word, but there is such in sync, like a symphony orchestra, the way they just start. It's really cool to watch.
Yeah, and without that in sync, that's what puts you a tenth of a second ahead of the other team. So that's very much part of it. You're very perceptive in that part.
So this artwork that you were, looking at now. So tell us a little bit about the inspiration of this piece.
Well, for me, the painting, the longest part is the thinking about it. I think about a drawing and what I want to portray, and then finally get it out onto the canvas. And I wanted to do a rowing painting and something that would represent, because all the time we spend time traveling, we spend time, dropping Catherine off to the boathouse and hanging around. Their regattas are quite exciting and very colorful, so it lends itself to a composition for a nice painting. And then, getting involved with the crew team, with the Mercer Rowing and the PNRA. Everybody needs cash to keep the youth organizations going. So I said, what can I do? So I wanted to get that in the painting and provide enough bead painting. So it's a good size. It's 30 by 44 inches. And, it's a good value if you win it. And hopefully we sell a lot of tickets and somebody can hang it on their wall eventually.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show. And again, everyone, this is supporting kids of our community, $5. And you could have this amazing painting by a local artist who one day will be worth billions of dollars.
Oh, I think you're saying that a little prematurely, but I think you're on the right path.
I know, like all the famous artists.